about 2.5 years ago, and Foster and I got together. We were doing a small pizza party to raise a little bit of money, but we talked about raising more money. That was something big. So we thought about doing this, and we kept going back and forth about it. Then finally, about a year ago, we sat down and said, okay, we're gonna do it. And so we decided we want to not just raise money, but raise awareness, because ataxia only affects about 150,000 Americans. So we're very small. So to get money, you gotta get people to know what they're talking about.
Recruiting volunteers was very, very simple. Once we got word out that we were going to do the first walk ever for ataxia, we had family members, people that have been diagnosed recently, as well as 10 years ago, volunteer. We had our church groups get involved. We had ministries passing out flyers. We didn't even know that they knew anything about it. It was phenomenal. We were very fortunate that sponsors came forward as they started to hear about it, and it was a lot easier to get sponsors than we thought it would be. We have over 16 sponsors today. That's pretty good for the first time.
We get asked for different things every week. Every week there's something. We have 1,600 agents in our company, so of course, we get these types of requests all the time. But when there is a personal interest, when one of the agents has a personal interest, a family member or something where it hits close to home, and they're going to be personally involved themselves, where it's not just donate to this cause or that cause, but I am taking an interest in this, and I'm going to be actually involved with this cause. That's when we become more interested to donate our money.
Well, what we did is we used to work with Earl. Earl worked at San Diego Gas and Electric, and Sempra Energy is our parent company. And I know Earl from work, and I'm on the board of Energy for Others, which is Sempra Energy's employee giving program. So Earl contacted us, and then he went through the whole screening process. He had to be affiliated with a nonprofit group, which was the National Ataxia Foundation. And so then he submitted an application for a grant, and then we gave him a grant. Part of it was because we thought it was a great cause. Another part is for our affection for Earl as well. So that kind of helps speed up the process a little bit. But we give to about 400 nonprofit groups throughout our service territory every year.
Volunteers are essential to the success of an event like this, especially the first one. Without volunteers, you don't have an event. I mean, they are the event. They're there for support. They're there for feedback. They're there for word of mouth. They told their friends. And, you have the grapevine. And without the volunteers today, nothing would get done, because everything was supported by a volunteer, an individual, whether it was a corporate volunteer, a sponsor, one way or another, but the volunteers that actually were out here putting it together are the reason that we had the success that we had today.
On behalf of the San Diego Ataxia Support Group and National Ataxia Foundation, welcome to the first annual Charlie McLaughlin Walk and Roll for Ataxia! This is the first rock and roll held by Ataxia organization anywhere in the world. Okay, walk and roll was the vision of a few local people about 2 years ago, and the vision grew into the wonderful people you see here today. Walk and roll was named in memory of Charlie McLaughlin, who passed away from complications of ataxia earlier this year. Ataxia is a rare degenerative disease of the central nervous system. It causes multiple difficulties with coordination and such difficulties with walking, speech, hand movements, gross motor skills, and even swallowing. And the National Ataxia Foundation is a nonprofit organization established in 1957 to help families affected by the hereditary and sporadic ataxia. The NAF, the National Association Foundation mission, is to help the Ataxia families through research, education, and support services. 100% of the proceeds here from today's event will go to the National Ataxia Foundation. You see ladies waving their red tickets around. Don't forget to see them. There you go. All the proceeds will be going to the National Ataxia Foundation, or NAF. Are you ready? Can you say yeah? Are you ready? So here we go.
We provide safety communications. We're not on any list being required, but it's a really good idea. We stepped in early to assist with how events like this operate. But our primary goal here is to provide communications between the checkpoints in case something might go wrong. We can get information back to the start finish, which is where everything is controlled from, and either get what is needed out there. That might be something as simple as cups for water, but it could be something very serious that they need an ambulance. Typically with events like this, there's an ambulance on site.
In order to go through the permit process, we had to first find out what venue we wanted, and so we chose this venue, which is Tuna Harbor. We had to check with the city to find out who manages Tuna Harbor, and when we found that out, we made application with the Port of San Diego, and they met with us, and they actually came out here to see exactly where we were talking about, to be sure that we had the right venue in mind, and if the date was open, they put it on their calendar. And then they walked us through, very, very friendly environment, walked us through the permit process and filled out the permits and contacted NAF, National Ataxia Foundation, as you know, and gave them the head count of who we expected, how many we expected, and the donation, the payment to the Port of San Diego must be in 30 days ahead of time. So we had that all paid up in August, and we were complete with the permit process. We did check with the port to make sure that nothing changed and that we were still on target many times, and we worked very interactively together. And so the permit process was not as discouraging as we thought it would be. We thought that would be the biggest hurdle, and it went very smoothly.
Probably the best advice I can give anyone is to plan a core team early. You know, don't do anything at the last minute. It never comes through. You know, plan early. Start with your main core team. You know, I had like 12 people. We all had different bits that we wanted to do. And they were in charge, like somebody was in charge of the registration. Somebody's in charge of the basket. You know, we make sure you delegate the job. Don't do everything by one person. You know, people thank me for that. You know, I was only one part of it. You know, I could not have done it without everybody else helping out. So the advice is to get a dedicated team to begin with and start early.
Like for instance, Sempra Energy, we have a corporate giving program where you also have to be nonprofit. And then San Diego Gas and Electric and Southern California Gas, which are two of our subsidiaries, also give money. So don't just stop at one corporation, go to several, or see if those corporations have employee giving programs, because often if they're large corporations, they will have an employee giving program, and you can go to them as well. So often there's several types of funding.
It makes sure that everybody knows about ataxia, because it's such a random disease. Nobody has it, and so nobody ever hears of it. Whenever anybody asks me what the matter with me is, I always tell them that I have MS or something, because that's what people know about. They don't know anything about ataxia, and I'm not gonna tell people that don't know, but if people are a little more aware, then I can tell the truth.
This was not as hard as we thought it would be at all. This was fun to put together. We spent many hours together as a committee with sponsors, and we had a really good time. And it's turned out to be better than we imagined it would be.